Inside Appalachia producer Bill Lynch spoke with Smithwick about what causes wildfires and how people can prepare.
First and foremost, kind of tell me about you and the work you do.
Sure. I am an ecologist. I have studied wildfires over the course of my career, several decades, particularly in Yellowstone National Park in the subalpine Rocky Mountain region, and now into the Mid-Atlantic region, where actually we're anticipating a changing fire regime region. So I'm a geographer. I think about systems. I think about how people and the environment are connected and how all of those systems are changing quite dramatically under climate change.
Obviously, the news has been full of it almost every day now with the fires in California. But California is kind of prone to fires. What about other places? Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia.
Honestly, we are not yet seeing the extent of severe fast-moving fires in the eastern United States or the Mid-Atlantic like we would in the western United States, but they do occur. And particularly in the southern Appalachian region, we have wildfires. People may remember the Gatlinburg fires several years ago. Just communities that had very few exit routes, and communities were fairly impacted by that wildfire. And the reason is that in the eastern United States, in many parts of the region, we are highly intermingled in the natural environments that kill fire and human infrastructure and bush environments. And so even smaller fires can have a very significant impact. In many parts of the Mid-Atlantic, we're now putting beneficial fire back on the landscape to restore habitat from turned-on fires, our pine and our oak systems. In some cases, preventing other species like maples coming in the understory and restoring habitat for wildlife. But in the absence of that kind of management strategy, it is possible that under severe droughts like we had in the eastern United States last year, that we could be in store for greater wildfire risk.
How do wildfires, how do they actually spread?
Yeah, well, we might be familiar with what you need to start a campfire, right? You need an ignition source, you need some dry weather conditions to dry your wood, and you need the wood itself, you need the fuel. So those are really the ingredients to start a fire. And in natural systems, what that means is you either have a spark from lightning, but it also could come from human ignitions. And most of our severe wildfires these days have a human ignition source, particularly in the east where lightning may not be as common a factor. And so we could have downed electric lines, we could have campfires, or other incendiary object fireworks that can be sparks for fires. And so if you have that, and then you have dry fuels, that perhaps experience long periods of drought, and then you can actually have wind, severe events that can really add oxygen to the production process. And you really do have to work for fire. And that can happen anywhere. Again, we think of the eastern or Mid-Atlantic region, Appalachian region as being wetter, and that's true on an annual basis, but we're also coming to extended drought. The thing about climate change is that we're expecting wet to become wetter and dry to become drier. So this could mean that even it may not be all year round, but we could see periods where we have that more potential drought there.
How does climate change affect wildfires?
Yeah, well, we are seeing the wildfires becoming larger, they're becoming more intense, they're moving faster. We have science about this. Even in California, we've seen a decline in more destructive wildfires than have occurred within the past decade. So we know that these fires are unnatural. I've studied wildfires for decades in many parts of the United States, and we used to think that these severe wildfires were something that people were adapted to and was part of a normal function of the system. But the truth is that the fires that we're seeing now, they are not natural. They are not part of that normal cycle. Humans and climate change collectively have really pushed us to a system that is unprecedented. And this is affecting our communities as we know in California.
Obviously, the folks in California, places they weren't expecting this. What can some small towns in Appalachia, what can communities here do for wildfires?
It's a really good question because some of the fire situations that we're seeing now in California, it's really too late, too much to prepare. I think communities in general have to be thinking very much proactively about how they are thinking about living in a world with more fires. And that means that we have to come to terms with putting healthy fire back on the landscape. One where managers know how to control the burn, they know how to control the smoke. and allowing some of that, the fuel to be reduced through that fire management process. Again, that helps restore healthy ecosystems. And so community needs to be supportive of these kinds of forest management strategies in our natural ecosystems and support those managers, which of course will take care of those communities so they can do so. But on the other hand, we have to recognize that wildfires are likely to come in some of these areas. So there's things that communities can do, like becoming part of an organization called Firewise Communities. And this provides resources to municipalities and counties to help prepare for a wildfire, but also to do community education, working with local communities about how to create fire-safe structures, how to create safe landscaping around your home. And ultimately, what I'd like to see more and more is I'm thinking about zoning, I'm thinking about how we're planning our community so that we are understanding that in the case of an emergency, we have exit routes, we have emergency preparedness. So there's things that municipalities and policies can do to kind of adapt and prepare for these future fire events.
Dr. Smithwick, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for calling.
That was Penn State professor Erica Smithwick speaking with Bill Lynch. Smithwick is also a member of Science Moms, a nonpartisan group that works to demystify climate change. Flooding is a frequent problem in Appalachia, and some floods can reshape communities, like the 2022 floods in eastern Kentucky, or the 2024 floods from Hurricane Owens. Well, almost 50 years ago, historic flooding struck a part of Appalachia about the size of Connecticut. Part of the area affected by that flood was the town of Grundy in southwestern Virginia. In a rare move, Congress authorized a major rebuilding project that physically moved the town. Radioactive's Roxy Tyler brings us this look at one of the most epic engineering efforts in American history.
A creek runs through the center of where Grundy's downtown district once stood. Decades ago, there were 2 movie theaters, shops, and restaurants. Today, there's a law school, and across from that, in a small white building, is a restaurant that sells cheeseburgers and fried chicken sandwiches. The owner, Zach Johnson, grew up in Grundy.
Every day I come to work here at Ratty Dax, my restaurant, and I'm just like, I try to take it in every day because it changes every day.
He means the seasons. The bright reds and oranges in fall, the snow-covered trees in winter.
Oh, there's this heron that lives in the creek right up front. Yeah, it's amazing.
But what's also changed in his lifetime is the town itself.
My senior yearbook, the theme of the yearbook was moving mountains. It led you to believe that there was going to be this utopia across the river, which turned into a 3-story Walmart.
To explain what happened to Grundy, you have to go back to 1977, when 6 feet of water flooded the historic downtown district. 3 years later, Congress authorized the Army Corps of Engineers to help communities in Virginia, Kentucky, and West Virginia rebuild. The Corps paid most of Grundy's building owners and tore down their structures, and they built a new commercial district across the river. But the mountainous terrain meant there wasn't anywhere above the floodplain to build. So the Army Corps decided to bulldoze a part of the mountain to create a 17-acre parcel of flat land. As part of the project, Virginia rerouted the road through Grundy and built a highway on higher ground, which was completed in 2023. Johnson says the road, while faster, uprooted even more of the town.
And it's wiped out one of my childhood favorite restaurants, Dotson's Drive-In, and just broke my heart, really. And I just thought, why don't we just move back here and open a restaurant? Because this place needs a restaurant.
Another Grundy business owner, Tass Robertson, says most of the criticism he's heard about the project is how long it's taking.
I was 2 years old whenever the flood hit, and I'm 49, and you would have expected that it would have moved a little bit quicker than that, but that's the way that things happen.
Part of why it's taken so long is because the Army Corps has to wait for Congress to appropriate each new phase of the project. The redeveloped site looks completely different from the old stone and brick buildings before. Next to the 3-story Walmart is a medical office and a Mexican restaurant. Jean Van Dyke lives just outside the Grundy.
You know, I miss some of the older stores that was here, but it's changed for the better, so I can live with it.
Asking if anyone in Brendan what this town is known for, and apart from the relocation of the downtown, will tell you it's wrestling. The high school team has won the state tournament 27 times. Robertson, who coaches a local wrestling club, says their winning streak began after the 77 club.
And what a lot of those guys told me was they didn't have to go to school for 2 months. So they practiced. And they got ready, and whenever it was time for the state tournament, it was on. The rest of those people didn't know what was going on.
Every February, when it's time for the wrestling team to compete in the tournament, people line up on the side of the road, cheering for them.
I wouldn't live anywhere else in Maine, not because of the mountains, not because of the roads, not because of the building, because of
The Human County and the Army Corps are continuing their cultivation that began nearly 5 years ago. The next phase of the project is to consolidate the high schools and build a new school on top of a former mountain community site. In Brendan, from Knox the Town.
After taking a break, some backyard gardeners are just now starting to see tomato results. The coach and the cook looking for the farm. I don't know what they're taking. A lot of calories goes into growing crops in these areas. Farming takes up metals on this one. WNR's Aisha Pickles.
Agriculture is the largest private industry in Virginia. 97% of farmers in the state are vacant. People in the agriculture profession face a variety of stressors impacting their mental health, which can include financial concerns and other factors such as weather, flooding, every year's harvest. The farmers may not have access to health insurance or mental health specialists in the state, and finding a specialist who is aware of issues related to agriculture is another matter. One of those issues is that farming rarely provides downtime. Jessica Hall is the co-owner of Harmony Harvest Farm, a flower farm in Augusta County that also ships products nationwide.
So I think a lot of farmers will tell you that there's an schedule that doesn't ever turn off.
Hall manages a farm with her mother and sister. The sisters also run a separate business on the grounds that produces sustainable floral design. Hall says she begins her day at around 4 a.m., but after her harvest is due later in the day, she continues working on
And in the evenings, there's still work to be done on the farm. And after I welcome my kids home with the school bus, I'm back out into the greenhouses, covering crops and tightening things up and putting things away for a nice evening. But there's always work to be done on the farm.
Hall says that the work is uniquely stressful.
I think any business is going to tell you it's incredibly stressful and isolated. If you look at any spectrum of farming, a lot of times it's somebody out on the tractor by themselves, and somebody moving by themselves. There's a lot of solo time, and when you're out running like that, even if you work with a big group, the endless and daunting tasks that there's no end to it ever on a farm. There's always more to be done than can be accomplished.
The spectrum of failure on the farm extends beyond just one type of business.
I live where I work, so if I get fired, lose my business, I lose my house. It's all buried in a little bit, and so it can feel a little harder to disconnect that and to not take that as part of your identity of success or failure. And it takes a lot of work to be able to compartmentalize that.
Hall says that they are a family business and that they work through challenges together, including mental health.
It's opening up that vulnerability in a really safe space to make sure that we're all the best classes at the end of the day. Like, all farmers can grow good crops, but all farmers really focus on growing good farmers.
Jeremy Gabbard is a DoD agent for the Rockingham County Extension Office. He says that stigma in agriculture can keep people from seeking out resources from being.
So there still is a stigma that if you seek mental health, it's it's a weakness. I guess is how it's perceived. We're just trying to help bring awareness that if you break your arm, you're gonna go to the hospital and you get tested on mental health. It's not a weakness; it's a sickness.
Gabbard says most farmers take health insurance or have very limited insurance. He says there are a lot of resources and funds available, including
So one of the things that we try and teach when I do some of my sessions is just some things that people can do to lower stress. Exercise, eating healthy, meditation, prayer, deep breathing exercises, some things that really don't cost anything, really don't take a lot of time, and they can just be more intentional about paying attention to their mental health to help themselves.
There are lots of things dedicated to certain that every stressful time in a lot of neighborhoods. And a lot of those resources are not related to them.
It's one of those things that giving the resources where they really matter. Everybody's going to move to the woodlot, time and seed and fertilizer. There really should be some boosters explaining every tractor supply bathroom should have a big poster about mental health and the hotlines that you can reach out to in case you need help.
Even first responders and there's also the building connections and extending them.
Till next time, thanks for joining us as we journey throughout Appalachia. The theme music is by Mel. Other music this week was provided by Lay Down Eugene Murphy Jr., Carbon Bands, Aristotle Jones, Morgan Murphy, The Dirty River Boys, and John Russo. Bill Lynch is our producer. Abby Neff is our associate producer. Our executive producer is Kelly Levine. Our audio mixer is Patrick Stevens. We had help this week from Folkways editors Clara Hazlett and Owens. You can find us on Instagram at Appalachia. You can also send us an email to insideappalachia@abpublic.com. Visit www.public.org/insideappalachia to subscribe or stream all of our stories. Or look for Inside Appalachia in your favorite podcast app. Inside Appalachia is a production of